Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I'm back on Monday this time. Yes. Accountability. Look at me go. So I finally figured out how to share from the actual page. And this is awesome. So yeah, I kind of caught myself. Sorry, I was looking at myself. I'm going to be live Mondays at 3:30, a little late, little technical difficulty setting up my camera, but you know, I'm here on Monday. So Monday check-ins, and give it a couple of minutes for people to get in. How's everyone doing on Monday? It was a little dreary earlier. I'm looking out the window, it stopped raining. It's a little sunny still / a little dreary. It's like sunny right here. And it's dreary out there. Well, we have started school, and it has been a whirlwind of all the things, all the time, at once. And it just feels like it's not enough time to do anything, which is always fun. But, you know, you gotta focus and figure out what you can do and what's most important and priorities and boundaries. Boundary is gonna be my theme of this year, my personal theme. Because you can't give everything away, because then you have nothing left for yourself. My favorite saying from the church is you can't pour from an empty cup. So that's the thing that I'm gonna remind myself of this year, very much so. But let's get into it. What has happened thus far and thusly then unto these last few days? Let me stop twirling. It feels good, but I know that can be distracting while people are watching. Things on the logistical end for the business are going well. We have gotten our LLC. And when I say we, there is more than just me. I'm going to do a video in a couple of weeks introducing my business partner, Sarah. And while I'm the face, there is more than just me to this. It takes a team to make this work. But we've gotten our LLC together, and that has been that was a journey. If you know me, you know that I'm very organized to a fault sometimes and very logistical. And so it was a little disheartening when the first time we applied it didn't go through. And we couldn't get an answer as to why it didn't go through either, because we followed everything that we were supposed to do and no one could tell us why it didn't go through. So that was a little frustrating, but we got it and we're good to go now, and we are official, like legit official. So that's always a good feeling. The course is still in the process of finalizing and getting things together, working on the website, and getting that all together and sorted through. Back to the boundaries piece, right, of balancing working a full-time job as well as launching a business officially. My own personal website is still up, although it is not where I want it to be right now. And so as I'm launching the website for the Anti-Bias Educator, I want to make sure that I launch it right. I don't like being associated with mess. That's not a good thing. So things are in the works and things are coming. I'm really happy with it. So the topic that I kind of want to talk about today is people, have been hitting me up asking about anti-bias and what does that mean, right? So over the summer, in response to the nationwide moment of racial awareness, awakening, reckoning, I'm not sure what language you want to use, depending on, I guess, where you are in your journey. Anti-racist has been the language that is being used. And I intentionally didn't use anti-racist because that is not the work that I am doing. It's part of the work that I'm doing, but the work that we are doing is anti-bias work. And I'll use this analogy. Diversity work is kind of like doing avalanche work, right? So you have avalanche prevention, and then you have, once an avalanche has happened and you go in and you're trying to rescue people, and you're trying to, at the end of it, right? So anti-racist, anti-sexism, anti-whatever identity marker that is being targeted, that's at the end of the avalanche, right? The avalanche has happened, the damage is done, and you're trying to undo that. You're trying to specifically, like, it has happened, racism is happening, it has happened, and you're trying to now go in and systemically undo those things. Anti-bias work is the avalanche prevention work, right? So the work that we are trying to do is to prevent the racism, prevent the sexism, prevent those things from occurring in the first place, or prevent them from occurring in the scale that they do occur, right? So anti-bias work takes place specifically in schools, right? Through the education process. I often talk with my husband, who is in IT, and it really helps to give me a perspective, because oftentimes when we talk with people who do the things that we do, we can get myopic in our fields, in our scope, and our vision, because we're talking with people who are doing the same thing that we're doing, and we become in an echo chamber a little bit. And so he always helps to bring that harsh reality of people who are not in education and not working with kids. And he was like, man, you just live in this idealized world of like, whew, like that is not the real world. And it really helps to ground me and remember, like, yeah, like I want to teach kids, like I want to help prepare them for the world that doesn't exist yet. Like, yeah, I want to prepare them for a world that is better than the world that I'm living in. Absolutely. Like, that is the job. That is the work. I want them to, by the time they graduate out of high school and out of college, that the world is better. Absolutely. Like, yes, that's the work that I'm doing. And I think that is clear in the standards of, even from when I graduated high school in 2004 and college in 2008, of what's socially acceptable, of things on a national scale to say and do. Granted, I know that acceptability depends on regionally where you are, and those standards will change, and that's why I'm saying on a national scale of what's acceptable. But yeah, you know, a little bit of what education is kind of like creating an idealized world for kids of like, we can be better. We can be better than what we are, and we should be better than what we are. And that's the work of anti-bias education, right? Is I want to, as early as possible, expose you to the beauty of diversity, the beauty of inclusion, right? And doing that through equitable means, because we all have different needs, right? And that's what equity is. And that's the difference between equality and equity, right? Equality is everybody gets the same thing, regardless of what you actually need. And equality is not the answer, because everybody doesn't need the same thing. Equity is the answer, like everybody getting what they actually need. So through equitable means, and using diverse and inclusive practices, right? So diverse is who's in the room, right? And then inclusive is not just who's in the room, but whose voices are we hearing, right? And how are we hearing those voices, right? So who's at the table, who's allowed to speak at the table, right? And then equity would be like, does everybody at the table have what they need? So anti-bias work is about making sure that all those things are happening within school, within the curriculum, within policies and procedures. Policies and procedures would be like your absences, with your dress code, with your discipline policies, your classroom policies, all of those things. Those are your policies and your procedures. So your curriculum, your policies, your procedures, your hiring practices, right? That happens a lot with, are they a good fit? You know, that's very coded. Because a lot of times people like to hire, back to that piece where I was talking about like an echo chamber, and like, this feels comfortable to me, right? Comfort usually is about like somebody that has a similar experience. They don't make me feel uncomfortable. And that means they're not pushing you and challenging you, right? And there's a difference between being uncomfortable and being disrespectful. Those are two different things, right? So not conflating those two different things. But if you're always hiring people who make you feel comfortable and don't push you outside of your same frame of thinking, then it's just a whole bunch of yous running around, running the school, and that's not diverse, right? And so if you're gonna get a limited experience and a limited view, right? And so even in diversity work, right? Like, I'm thinking of the planning that we did this week for the diversity training that's gonna happen at my school. And we are primarily an all-Black team, but even in the diversity planning, we all had different views about how that should go through, right? And it was important that we listen to each other, because the views that came in were so important about how do we do what's best for the faculty. Because it's not just about like me or the director or this person or that person. It's about what's best for the collective. And if you don't have multiple voices from the collective, you can't speak to the collective. Period. So that's what the anti-bias is about. It is inclusive of anti-racist work, but it's also inclusive of anti-sexist work. It's inclusive of all those identity markers of making sure that we are respectful of people's humanities and respectful of people's differences, right? Like, you know, we can learn from each other. We can learn from the person sitting next to us. And there's a difference between I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want them twisted, because people will take what you say and twist it just like they do with a lot of things, and twist it to make it what they want it to mean. So this is why I keep pausing when I'm choosing my words, because I'm trying to choose my words very, very carefully. There's a difference between true working togetherness, right, and just forced kumbaya-ness, right? Like, and that's not what I'm talking about. Like, you can find humanity in disagreement, and that's our goal, right? I recognize your humanity, I see you, and I recognize the beauty and difference in you. And that is the goal of diversity, equity, and inclusion work, is that, like, I see you, I recognize myself in you, and I love you, and I honor you. And that's the goal of this work. So that is the goal, and that is the purposefulness of the anti-bias educator. I chose educator specifically because I didn't want to limit it to teacher, because I feel like anybody can be an educator, right? Like, you don't have to just be a classroom teacher. A librarian is an educator. The parent is the first educator. The parent is the most important educator. And parent, guardian, right? Like, so your birth parent, your birth mother, your birth father may not be the person that's raising you. It may be your grandparent, it may be your aunt, it may be your uncle, it may be, you may be adopted, it may be, so the person that is raising you is your first educator, right? And so I chose educator specifically because I felt that was a more inclusive, you see that? Yeah, inclusive terminology than just limited it to the term teacher, right? Like, I really believe in the concept of it takes a village. And when I reflect on my own educational experiences of who raised me and who taught me, my education began long before I ever set foot in a classroom. My parents were my first educators. Miss Betty was my second educator. Miss Betty kept me when my mom went to weeks where she was a teacher and my dad went to work. And Miss Betty, those are my earliest memories, is sitting in Miss Betty's kitchen and making the little mini pies and the tacos and learning from Miss Betty. And then I went to Facel Baptist Daycare, which was not a daycare in the traditional sense, but very much an institution for learning and learning my culture and learning academics. And then I went someplace else, which gave me a solid academic education, and it gave me an education about race. And that's the best way that I can sum that up without getting into a very long story about that. But my education began long before I ever set foot in a school. And so educators don't have to be school-trained teachers, but educators are important, and they teach us a lot of things. And usually our first educators are going to be the people that are the most intimate in our lives. Again, the people who are raising us, the people who are most proximate to us. And those are going to be the people who shape us. So that's how the name came about. So that's that. Again, we're just trucking along. As I get some more concrete dates, I will roll those out to you all. We're gonna have a mailing list coming together soon, so you can get a more official and regular updates in writing. If a writing piece is a better way that you would prefer to get updates on what we're doing, that's coming as well. So in summation, this is a short video, and that's all right. Class is still coming together. We are going to have a mailing list coming out soon. We're gonna put together a video where you get to meet my business partner, Sarah. And everything is just rolling along. So Mondays, 3:30. Mondays, 3:30, I'll be here. I look forward to ooh, the words, they are just sticking. Mondays, 3:30s. I look forward to chatting with you all next week. I will see you then. I hope you have a wonderful, safe week. I hope it is productive. For all my educators, teachers who have started school, whew, God bless. I am tired. It is day one. I am tired. But we got this. We got this. It's gonna be great. It is gonna be a year. It's gonna be a year. But we gonna make it. Yes. Go be great. Go be fantastic. Go be your best selves. Love you much. See you next week.